Trailer is an MvM map on the Steam Workshop. It was directly inspired from the MvM launch trailer. Yeah, we're talking a massive, ginormous 12-year gap for some recreation like this to happen in the MvM scene. Nothing like the 7-year gap of the 7th comic of Team Fortress 2 being finally released. Weirdest part about this is that by digging deep into TF2 maps, you can actually find a similar map called MvM Warehouse. And by similar, I mean its thumbnail and namesake, because it was made for a 72-hour jam. Unfortunately, time didn't do this map justice, because pink and black textures have overtaken 90% of the map. Other than that, this warehouse was specifically created to explore, and for that reason alone. Another crazy thing is that the MvM trailer map already existed 2 years ago. It was made for a charity event called TF Connect in 2022, intended to be played with Robin Walker, one of the developers who worked on Team Fortress 2. And yeah, it's fully playable from the start. I guess this year, the creator finally decided to bring it to the workshop. Now, it should be stated that this map is an entire recreation, not a direct port of the map from the SFM, so there was a couple of creative liberties that the map has taken. For example, there's a new path from the side that directly leads up to this hill with the building. And if it isn't obvious, the map reuses parts of viaducts, just like the trailer. There's some gameplay changes here and there, like a tank spawn to the left and an upper flank spawn. There's also a spy spawn point, which I'm pretty sure this is what this is. There's only a couple of small details that weren't recreated, likely for optimization, but they at least got Archimedes from the trailer that can be seen on a light post. I was worried the poker table where the soldier in demo sat down wasn't there, but no, it's actually out of bounds behind a fence to the right. This map has its novelty factor down just right. With that being said, the polishedness of this map is really questionable to say the least. Pop-ins are everywhere, clear as day. There's a couple of holes in the map itself. We gotta talk about the mountains. Seriously, what is up with their textures? Mountains not only stick out of place, but is weirdly disproportionate to our environment. It's like I'm playing on a game board as a figurine. Sometimes you'll see a lightning strike near the carrier tank, and the mountain behind it is covered in fog, which makes for an amazing silhouette. Look at specific angles though, and you'll uncover the deep fried texture work. Other than the lack of polish that takes no more than 1 second to look at, this map is damn near as good as it gets from a design standpoint. I wish I could say the same for its gameplay. From the very moment you start up a mission, you realize that the gameplay is fundamentally flawed. The front is just a massive open space. I mean, it's no surprise given that the team in the trailer bomb rushed against the Horde boss, but this seriously does not translate well to gameplay. There's no cover in the middle, with the best one being this fence at the left. There's a small hill and a tree stump that barely provides cover, and worst of all, the ammo and health pickups nearby are out in the open, leaving you exposed to damage. The spawn barrier is far away from the bot spawn point, which makes sense to keep players away from spawn camping, but the problem is, you can't tell whether or not they're out of spawn. The creator tried to mark this out with the 2 signposts, but it's barely noticeable even from a short distance. I mean, you could have at least moved the snow fog back and used it as a barrier. I have no idea why it's all the way up there. Also, if you're a sniper player, this whole open space makes it easy for you to troll any mission as soon as you have the money. I guess that's why they vote sniper off from the trailer. The tank spawn that I mentioned earlier is the left tunnel, and because of the map layout, all the tank has to do is take a 90-degree angle and go into a straight line towards the hatch. It's not exactly a bad thing, but it might make tank busting even more boring to do. The upper flank spawn is mostly used by snipers, and this is the most frustrating spawn point because it forces players to look behind them when they're holding out on the front. At least with spies it makes sense to turn around, but snipers? Really? Another fundamental flaw you'll notice is the bot navigation. Take a look at these bomb holograms. Where they're supposed to go is to the right, through the buildings and sticking to the right side of the map. But no, they just take a detour. Robots and giants get stuck on this metal fence before jumping down, going through the middle of the map. Now this is a very obvious sign that the nav mesh was auto-generated without adjustment. Now this wouldn't be a problem if it was a PvP map, which is literally every other game mode. But doing it in MvM means the bots will go wherever they want. The creator tells you on the workshop page that the map has been playtested. This either means that the playtesters completely steamrolled the mission and didn't bother to test the other 50% of the map, or we're just completely oblivious to the bomb holograms, which probably explains the accommodations made with these doorways. And if you're wondering if the guys over at TF Connect ever saw this happening, they never did because the server they were playing on was constantly crashing. Either way, this massively glaring issue makes it not only a problem for those that play this map, but also the creators in the MvM space that are looking for new maps to make missions on. The other paths work fine though, from what I've seen, but then again, it also highlights how bad the map layout translates over to gameplay. If you want an idea of how these indoor areas play out, imagine yourself fighting hordes of robots and giants in 2 Fort. We gotta talk about the missions. There's only 2 that came with the map, an advanced and an expert, both made by someone that used to make missions and maps for Potato MvM servers. I'ma be real, if you're looking for a quality and artistic mission design, we're talking Osmium Ordnance and Ghoulish Gambit. You're better off staying in the archive servers. These missions are as Valve standard as it gets. The advanced mission is called First to Fall, which is accurate to its name because the first wave is where you most likely fail. You'll fight swarms of combat bots in the beginning, which honestly weren't too terrible, but near the end you get giant downloads with medics back to back, which with only $700 to work with, makes it difficult to kill them without a heavy, especially when it comes to the demo nights. But after that, the mission kinda just gets bland. Common bots are pretty generic, and the rest of the giants are pretty much what you've already seen before. Pacing really isn't too great. Sometimes they barely put out any bots on the field. I did see stragglers at the ending of wave 5 though. There's only one unique giant to be seen, and it's at the final wave, which is the charged soldier that fires in burst, and it has an improper icon. Other than that, you fight a chief duo in the finale, a crit boosted backburner pyro named Slowburn that can also air blast, and a shotgun heavy named Smash Cut that rapid fires. But they forgot the thing where they have to fully reload before they shoot again. Overall, it's an advance that is hard in the beginning, but then tapers off into becoming easier and boring. This mission is a 4 out of 10. The expert mission is called Primeval Pummeling with only 4 waves to beat. I've said before that the map was played on TF Connect, but this mission was never played. Not only because their server kept crashing, but they also didn't reach their charity goal in time. First wave was pretty alright. Bit easy in the first half with its giant soldiers and several boss, before pushing hard with the giant pyros and the tank in the middle of it. This wave really highlights its massive sideline that goes in a completely straight line, and with all the projectile spam, it's really difficult to defend without a shield medic. Then it slowly ends off with giant soldiers having several medics. Second wave has you fighting giants with medics again. There's a train line of giant soldiers, both normal and burst fire, and just spamming a whole lot of rockets. Not much of interest really happens after that, so I'm just skipping ahead to wave 3. The start of it is straight out of manslaughter with giant downwards paired with steel gauntlets. Then you fight more robots pocketed by medics. And I just realized that the mission creator never deviates from using the same quick fix medics over and over again. Same thing happened with the advanced mission too. And just like the prior wave, it ends in a slow and boring fashion. The armored burst fire downward supports here don't even get a unique name either. Final wave actually starts out with something that revitalized my mental state. 30 caber demos charging straight at you as the entire subwave. It's too bad the people at TF Connect weren't able to see this chaos. And the creator finally uses giant medics that pockets different types of giants. But then it does a giant conga line thing again, this time with giant heavies. There's swarms of heavy bots along with giant pyros that lie to you about being crit boosted due to icon stacking, along with 4 tanks spawning back to back that are fairly quick to destroy. Finally killing the rest of the heavies, we meet face to face with the chief soldier, just like in the ending of the trailer. It's a burst fire soldier going by the name of Grand Finality. They use the buff banner as well, but for some reason the duration isn't extended. Maybe it's to make this boss slightly more interesting? Not sure. Regardless, this whole finality moment was completely ruined for me. In our playthrough, this wave was making the bots go to the upper left path, and all but the soldier boss can squeeze through this narrow pathway. Mind you, every giant that we've seen up to this point has been able to fit through up until this very moment. If this isn't enough evidence that the map is fundamentally flawed and shows a severe lack of proper playtesting, then I don't know what is. Just like the prior mission, it's fairly bland and difficulty tends to taper off. As an expert, it really didn't challenge the player past the first wave, but that's to be expected with a group of Potatoes content creators. This mission is a 3 out of 10. Trailer is a very flawed map. While the map impresses you with its aesthetic visuals and novelty factor, the cracks immediately reveal themselves not 5 seconds into walking out of spawn. Some of the other custom maps I've seen share some of the same problems, but none are on the same level as this map in particular. But smaller conveniences like that can be ignored. Where the map really falters is its gameplay. Huge wide open space with its front with narrowly confined side paths and interiors, combined with its horrible bot navigation makes this map really difficult to play. And its very short map layout means you can only make one mistake before the robots reach the hatch. Missions themselves aren't too great. To be honest, it's really unfair to me to compare these missions to what Potato turns out nowadays, so I think it's better to look at these as like tech demos, to demonstrate how the map functions and plays out. But let's be real, the only way I can see this map being picked up for a future campaign is for an April Fool's event, and the group that usually does this kind of stuff have went completely dark ever since their disaster of an event. Even if the navigation is completely fixed, it cannot fix the map layout, and with traditional MvM rules, it may be a complete nightmare to design a mission around, but I'm not one to make a proper judgment on that. This map is a 4 out of 10. For all the harsh criticism I gave, it's very clear that this map was designed for one purpose only: to be played in a charity event with a TF2 developer in a man vs machine segment. For that, I give it props. Its novelty really carries this map hard, and I cannot deny that it does a very good job at recreating the map shown in the trailer. This map was primarily made to be looked at and be played without much thought, but we cannot deny that the MvM trailer's map was fundamentally flawed from the start.